Today we're talking about running backs. And in case anytime you forget, you can just look behind Mike Clay. He's got jerseys of running backs behind him. The first one we're talking about is Christian McCaffrey, the stud for the Carolina Panthers. Over-unders at Caesars, 1,249 rushing yards, 9.5 rushing touchdowns. Again, these are rushing props because he's obviously a dual threat out of the backfield. Mike, any opinion here?
Yes, sir. I'm aggressively on the under. I'm actually surprised at the gap here. I'm at 1,047 rushing yards, 8.6 touchdowns. I like them both here. Look, McCaffrey ran for 1,387 on the ground last season. But look, of the 35 running backs who reached 1,300 rushing yards in a single season from 2009 to 2018, only 12 of those 35 reached 1,250 the following season. As for touchdowns, 15 last season, but his OTD was 10.8. Based on his usage, that's where he should have been. And again, a little bit of history from 2007 to 2018. 14 running backs had 15-plus rushing touchdowns in a season. That group averaged 6.1 the next season. Only 5 of 14 reached 10 touchdowns. We also can't count on 16 games of health for any running back. So unders for me.
Preston, I'm on the under as well, but I want to get your take.
So my take, you guys know I'm super bullish on this Carolina Panthers offense as a whole, and I just want to be cautious, although my yardage total is closer to 1,100, so I would say, yes, I lean under. I have touchdowns closer to about right where the current market is, but you look at Joe Brady and what he did at LSU. We've heard about it. Joe Burrow, Heisman, they won a national title. LSU got him from the New Orleans Saints. Now he goes to Carolina with Matt Rule, and I just appreciate what he does, his creativity. He's innovative. He uses the athleticism that they had at LSU to his advantage. They have 5 guys, including McCaffrey. They run a 4-4, which defenses I think will try to use 5 or 6 defensive backs to mitigate to some degree. But when they do that, then McCaffrey's going to be able to beat them, through the gut, through the tackles. I just have to stay away when it's all said and done because I, respect this offense and what Teddy Bridgewater and company will do, I think, in 2020.
All right, so your projections have the under, but you're staying away. I'm actually making
just the yards. Yeah.
I'm making it my best bet, the under on the yards. I lean under on the touchdowns, but look, he's a dual threat, so he's going to do great in the receiving. And Preston, you've talked about how bad this defense is going to be. I think they're going to be trailing in a lot of second halves, and I might have to abandon the running game earlier than most. He's an MVP candidate. Actually has the lowest odds of any non-quarterback, 40-1 at Caesars. But I just think under is such a huge number is the way to play. Do you think I'm crazy?
I don't. I think it's fine. If that's your favorite bet, I think you're right. If their defense is as bad as we project it to be, they'll be throwing in fourth quarters. They won't be running with McCaffrey.
Now to another running back who was actually finished among the top guys in the MVP a couple years ago, Ezekiel Elliott, 1,229.5 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns for his prop. So 11 to cash the over. Mike, where do you sit on these?
Man, these are really close. My projections come in at 1,279 in terms of yardage and 10.5 in touchdowns, a tiny bit over, but it's too close to call. I'm going to stay away from both of these. I have a 14-game projection for him here at 68% of the carries. It's aggressive, and still it's too close to call. He's gone over these marks in all 3 of his full seasons, but you can't just assume full health with these workhorse running backs. It just doesn't happen very often. And also Zeke, 12 touchdowns last season, a little over his head. His expected total was in the 10.5 range. And believe it or not, he has never finished better than 9th in carries inside the opponent's 5-yard line. So something to think about there in that touchdown department. Getting to 11 is going to be tough.
Yeah, I'm leaning the under on the touchdowns, but I'm actually going to go over. I just think he's an absolute beast. Has over 300 carries each of the past 2 seasons. Yes, McCarthy's done all this analytics stuff, Preston, but I don't buy it. I think he's still old school. The offense is going to be potent. Obviously, got CeeDee Lamb in the draft. I think he's going to scoop and eat plenty this year. So I'll take the over on the yards.
The offense as a whole, I mean, we should all be thrilled to watch this. They're going to be fun. I just think when this prop, the way it's set up, it may just be straightforward. The 3 seasons he's played 15 games or more, it's gone over this rushing total. The season he didn't, it went under. So this may just be, will he play 14 or more games? But I think one thing to consider outside of that, Kellen Moore will be there for a second straight season, is just Mike McCarthy's return to the NFL, the attack that he brings and mindset. They were the team in his 13 seasons in Green Bay that led the NFL in play action on first down. They threw more often. They had 1 rusher in his 13 seasons go over this total. It was Ryan Grant in 2009 by, I think, 23 yards. So it's just barely. And Elliott's better than any of the running backs McCarthy had at his disposal when it's all said and done. But is he going to get 300-plus rushing attempts? He's had at least 301 in those 3 seasons he did go over. I'm not necessarily sure of that. I can't say I'm sure of it, even if he plays 15 or 16 games. So I like the yards under. I think touchdowns is closer to fair. They'll use Zeke in the red zone, but yards I'd go under for Ezekiel Elliott.
And now to within the division, a guy who is certainly the best player on his team, at least on offense. Saquon Barkley, his prop, 1,249.5 rushing yards, 8.5 rushing touchdowns. Again, not receiving at all for these two props. Mike, I got slight leans here, but I imagine you have some in-depth analysis. Feed us.
Yeah, actually, my response is a little odd here. I'm going to go under on the yards. I'm going to go over on the touchdowns. Here's the thing. Let's start with yardage. 1,003 yards last season. He averaged a terrific 4.6 yards per carry, but his 16-game pace was only 1234. Believe it or not, that was actually below where this line is. The offense we expect to be more balanced under Joe Judge and Jason Garrett, but it's hard to count on both that 16 games played and good efficiency. Again, he may need all of that to go over that line. As for touchdowns, the Giants last season, believe it or not, 13th in touchdowns despite 0 games between all of their top skill position players. They played 0 games together, still in the upper half of the league in touchdowns. That unit above average in passing near the goal line and percentage of touchdowns that were passes at 74%. But Jason Garrett's there now. He's the offensive coordinator. His offenses have been well below average in both categories each of the past 4 seasons. Saquon Barkley's 230 pounds. His backup, 195-pound Dion Lewis. I think Barkley's going to get those goal line carries. I think he goes over here.
Preston, one of these is your best bet. What do you got?
I really like the touchdowns over, and I've just been digging into it more and more. I like it more and more. It's over 8.5. I think you can attribute Barkley's down year, if we want to call it that, where he only scored 6 TDs, not only to the injury, he missed 3 games, but when he returned, I don't think he was 100% anyway. There's been a lot of articles written about that. And then Daniel Jones was getting broken in under center, taking over for Eli Manning. Their offensive line was one of the worst in the NFL. They had a stuffed rate of 20%, which means 1 out of every 5 times they tried to rush the ball, it was for no gain or a loss of yards. Now they addressed it. They signed Cameron Fleming, who'd been the offensive tackle with the Cowboys and the Pats in the past, and they drafted Andrew Thomas with their number 4 pick. As a rookie, what did we see with Barkley? He scored 11 touchdowns, right? He played all 16 games, which helped, but he had a similar amount of carries per game. He's explosive as anyone, I think we can say, at running back position in the league. And there's a reason that the hype that he was the consensus number 1 in all fantasy drafts going into last season, because he's explosive and he scores TDs. And he only had 35 red zone touches last year. The year prior was 61. 3 running backs had at least 59 last year. Elliott, McCaffrey, Gurley, they all scored at least 13 touchdowns. I think that's the vicinity, at least double digits for Barkley this 2020 year. And what we need is 9 to go this over. 8.5 is just way too low for me.
So that's your best bet. Mine was on McCaffrey under in yards. Mike, can't let you get out of here without yours. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go to Joe Mixon. I love the over 5.5 rushing touchdowns bet. And honestly, I'd throw in over the 1059.5 rushing yards as well. I like them both, but especially the touchdown bet. And it feels bold to go with an over on a running back. They're always scary, but I come in at 6.4 rushing touchdowns and 1147 in terms of rushing yards. Look, Mixon, he's ranked top 9 in carries, rushing yards, expected touchdown total, carries inside the 5 each of the past 2 seasons. He's been easily over this yardage mark each of the past 2 seasons. He had 8 rushing touchdowns in 2018, so that's over the line. Last year, only 5, but his OTD, again, his expected touchdown total, 8.5, so right in that vicinity. And I should also mention this. Of the 14 rushing yardage props we examined this time last season, 8 of them actually went over. So it's not like you just have to hammer all the unders on running backs. We've actually seen some overs hit at this position.
Gentlemen, thank you. Preston Johnson, Mike Clay. I'm Doug Kezirian. We'll do MVP talk later this week.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.